Howdy, hello. We are Team 8, aka Team Infinity, or Team Dude, as we've been dubbed. We were asked to look at lighting in Dublin on Angel Street, and this is what we came up with, something called Beacon, or a ribbon of light. So I'm not going to kind of repeat what other groups have already said. This is Angel Street, or the district we're given. It's kind of underused and derelict. A lot of the buildings are falling apart, and people pass through it. There's a lot of traffic because there's a lot going on north and south of there. And there's kind of a posh shopping area up in the north. What is it? But people don't necessarily stay. So when we looked at light, we saw that there's not a lot of life happening on the street. Not a lot of people are staying. So we tried to change the brief from something that's functional lighting to how to retain a community and how to build a community through light. Our mission statement then became how to create an interactive shared experience to bring community together with light. So as far as the service goes, we wanted to attract people to the area and retain them there. It's underused place, underused side streets, a lot of derelict buildings. So we wanted to revitalize it and draw attention to the history. Visually, we wanted to kind of have a juxtaposition between what we were creating, which is this new modern kind of crazy light beam going all through the neighborhood, and the historical buildings that are already there. Interactive, we wanted people to learn from people. Don't look at me, turn me off. We wanted to learn from users, to kind of gather and aggregate information throughout the day, and have that show up in different factors. And have it be something that's fun, that people would kind of stop and slow down, and would maybe be an attraction in the neighborhood, and kind of give it a new definition of what it is. And spatially, during the day, we wanted to reflect natural light and have it bounce back and maximize it between the narrow streets. Okay, so what is Beacon in a word? It's community. It's not lighting. We're not focusing on lighting, we're focusing on building community. Here's some renderings. Ray, do you want to speak to these?
Yeah. Okay, so this was our first iteration of what Beacon would look like. On the top left, we have a kind of like what, if you were to look at it really close, the LED lightings. The material, it would be some sort of metal material, perforated. We wanted it to be very modular, so there's two pieces that would kind of connect together and form the ribbon. On the bottom left side, you see it interacting with people, just kind of like getting brighter and following them. And the two on the right is just how it would look like in Angel Street.
So this is a larger systems map of how it would be implemented and developed and then finally be used in everyday practice. And kind of just by drawing this out, we saw where different groups, such as the City Council and citizens and building partners, had common goals and where they could work together. I know it's kind of complicated, but it did help us see where feedback loops existed. The overall goal was to just improve the area, make it more viable, make it more interesting. And then by having this installation, it kind of gets that initial growth to get people interested, and then the city would attract more when it's actually installed. So that would help businesses come, more new residents, and more new developments. So mechanically, the system itself would accept a lot of different input from people on the street and buses and traffic, such as noise, the ambient temperature outside, the lighting conditions, and the speed of travel of pedestrians and of cars. And all this data would be aggregated and then show itself through the interaction in different ways. So noise would affect the color, the hue, the temperature of someone's body. With infrared cameras would affect light intensity relating to where they are. And then sun would just be needed to adjust ambient brightness based on weather conditions. And there would be a pulse going through the ribbon or band that goes through the city, and the speed of traffic and speed of movement around it would determine the pulse of that band. So it's actually multifaceted. It's not just a ribbon, it's not just a band, but here are a few examples of what we thought it could be. So in the middle we do have the band lit at night, but it would also be a gathering place for people. So kind of like street furniture based on basic geometries that are kind of melted and warped, as well as projections on the derelict buildings that could possibly be recordings of people silhouetted throughout the days to be as kind of like a diary of that day. So we thought about where each element would go. Throughout, the pink is the ribbon itself, and orange is projection areas, and green is street furniture and seating. We did 3 personas. We're not going to talk about this guy's interaction or the next one, so we'll just skip them.
Okay, so we decided to focus on Teresa Leary, who is a single mother of 2, and how her day would go leaving her residence on Angel Street. So starting off early in the morning, Teresa is on her way to work, getting up early, going to catch the bus. As she walks down the street, she can see the sun refracting off the ribbon, highlighting the dark side of the street, and also simultaneously collecting her data as she walks while she trips the sensors. On the bus, you can see how the sunlight still refracts and penetrates through the space, and again is also collecting the data from the traffic. Later on, her 2 sons leave for school in opposite directions, and again, having the ribbon above them refracting the light, bringing natural light into the darkened streets of Angel Street. The older son decides to meet with his friends and discuss where they might meet later on and what they might do for the evening. As the younger son travels down the street on a field trip, they're singing along, and you can see the response from the ribbon and the intensity from the songs that they're singing as it follows them through the street. Later that evening, Teresa is returning home in the dim sort of dusk light, and the ribbon is beginning to gain intensity with the light as the natural light starts to dissipate. As she disembarks from the bus near her apartment, the ribbon is now actually in full swing as the sun has set, and you can see all of the interactions of light between the various facets in the neighborhood. So the cars going by, the people walking past, and the noise that it's creating. Here we have a representation of the sun meeting in the public space, in the public furniture, with his buddies, sort of talking about their day and engaging in the space. As the day draws to an end and the street quiets down, the ambient glow of the ribbon softly lights the street as the residents fall asleep for the night.
Sorry, I'll just set up this video. So we have a quick little video of 2 interactions. One with a person walking down the street, so just his motion and his ambient body temperature would be affecting the visuals, and then an ambulance going by and the loud sirens, the noise would be affecting what's seen on the bin.
We would take the first year to do case studies, find contractors, engineers, private partners, do surveys of the site, so land surveys, building surveys, find out where we can actually implement the ribbon, seek city approval, and begin to get public opinion on the project itself. The next 6 months would be dedicated to material testing and sourcing, as we want to make sure that we find the best materials for the project at the best value, and also make sure that they work. And then we've given ourselves 2.5 years to complete the project in terms of construction, because it is a little bit more complex in areas and the actual manufacturing. We believe that it would take a significant amount of time to actually build it, and then the last month of the 4-year cycle would actually be the launch or the unveiling with planned events over the course of the month, and hopefully we'll have it to coincide with the 100-year anniversary of the sort of the factory district that was built up in 1916.
Okay, so these are the promotional posters that we made. These would go around the surrounding areas to attract people into the street. First poster is the headline we made up, a spectrum of experiences. So just to kind of relate it to light and the RGB spectrum, the eye is made out of RGB, and the outline of the eye is the ribbon. The second one is illuminating experiences. It's again emphasizing experiences.
And then essentially, and then our outcomes is that we're trying to really define what is public lighting. So here we have some of our final renderings. During the day, the ribbon with this reflective metallic surface. At night, lit up, and again, this would be reacting to the actual street traffic and the noise, the ambient noise. So this represents the more curvilinear aspects of the ribbon. We also decided to do more sort of geometric shapes as well. So again, during the day, this is across from the church, and then at night as well. We have that.
Thank you.
And then thank you, this is us.